Hey, what's going on, guys? After many years of waiting, we finally have another Master Grade Iron-Blooded Orphans kit here, following the Gundam Barbatos, which was a huge success and has been a fantastically selling kit. It was just a great kit overall. If any of you guys have ever built the Master Grade Barbatos, I'm sure you enjoyed it just as much as I did. So it's been a long wait for another Gundam from the Iron-Blooded Orphans series here in the Master Grade line, but here we finally have the Vidar, which I'm super excited about. If I would have been given personally the choice to choose the next Gundam to release in the Master Grade line from the series, you know, without going too obscure, I would have opted for the Vidar. So this would be my #1 choice. I'm really happy about this. That said, I'm really hoping that someday we might get a Master Grade Grays kit. That would be my absolute first choice for anything in the Master Grade line from Iron-Blooded Orphans, but until that day, let's go ahead and check out the Vidar here for today's video. Alright, first of all, just to take a quick look around the box before we check out the contents inside and get to building the kit, but some really awesome box art here on the front. Love to see that in this large style box here. We have some additional mobile suits featured there in the background. You can see here and there, over here, some of these which we didn't even get HGs of, which is interesting. But the box art looks super cool there with all the sparks flying everywhere, and you have like the little flames coming out of the muzzle of the pistols there from the front skirts, so really cool. The sides of the box are just going to have the same imagery there on both sides, like that. And the bottom of the box here is going to be showing some of the gimmicks like the knees, the foot hunter's edge there, the blades on the feet that can pop out, the handguns, as I mentioned, the 2 handguns that are stored in the front skirts, the rifle as well, and the burst saber, which we have those extra blades there on the side skirts for. Those look really cool. Around here on this side, we can see how the kit's gonna look all built and painted up front and back, and then in some more different action poses, you can see some more about the Gundam frame here, which is gonna be very similar to the frame from the Barbatos. I'm sure it's gonna be reusing some of those parts, but then we'll have some new parts as well. Here's a little bit about the cockpit and the included figures. We've got a sitting pilot figure to go in the cockpit and a standing pilot figure included, as well as some marking stickers that we're going to have in there as well. So all pretty standard fare, but it looks really nice. So let's go ahead and pop it open here and check out all of our stuff inside. Here's a look at those marking stickers, which we've got mostly in white, pink, and a little bit of black in there as well. So some really nice marking stickers. Always wish that these were water slide decals instead, but I'll take those. And then we do also have our foil stickers, which is going to be mostly for the eyes, a couple other little camera bits there it looks like, and that's pretty much it. So fairly minimal for the foil stickers. And then we've got our instruction manual here, which is going to feature the same box art there from the front. On the back side, nice big sample photo of the built and painted kit. Looks really cool. On our inside center pages here, we've got MS tracks in PD with some text here in Japanese and in English if you want to read that about Gaelio. We've also got our painting guide right down here as well. That's also in Japanese and in English, as well as the painting guide for Vidar, our pilot right there. The quick tip over here about panel lining to help bring out some of the details in the armor. And then over here about the Gundam Vidar itself, so some about the frame and features of the design, more information about the pilot and the weaponry down here as well. And again, the good thing is that it's all in Japanese and in English, as well as this section here at the front of the manual, which has an article there about the rise of Tekadan and the changing world. But down here about a Gundam frame cloaked in a false mask, and then the Alaya Vignania Type E there. So we got some stills from the anime and some kind of lore here, which is pretty cool to see. Then on the next pages is our parts list. There you can see on those first couple runners being probably the runners of the inner frame, a lot of X's, so all those unused parts of the frame that are not going to be used for this release. After that, it's just all the construction of the kit. I don't expect there's going to be anything too much else to see here in the manual. So once we get to the very end and build the weapons, we have our decal guide here at the back inside page, and that's about it. But let's go ahead and get into the runners then, starting off with runners A1 and A2, which are conjoined here in gray for our 1/100 scale MG IBO Gundam frame. Here we go. Yep, so there's those. Runner B we've got 2 of. This is some more gray Gundam frame runners there. And then similarly, once again, runners C1 and C2 here are combined and we've got 2 of each. These are also Gundam frame runners there. Then runners D1 and D2, runner D1 being in a plated silver there for some nice piston detail parts. Runner D2 being in a molded gold, but it's also a high gloss molded gold here for some detail parts of the frame. Runner E here also just labeled simply Gundam frame. You can see there is some specific Vidar parts on here, but you can see where the switches are on the runner basically for just this section of the runner here, which is for generic Gundam frame, and then this section here, these sections of the runner, which are specifically for the Vidar. Runner F here rounding out the rest of our frame parts here in gray. We do have 2 of this runner as well, these obviously for the Vidar, and so the label on this runner is labeled specifically for the Gundam Vidar. Runners G1 and G2 have that middle blue section and most of this black section here at the bottom and red section over here on the side doubled. Runner G1 has the addition of some off-white parts up there at the top, and runner G2 has the addition of a couple of more black parts here at the bottom and a couple of clear pink parts up there at the top. Runners H1 is going to be some of our armor parts here in kind of black, almost black. It's a very dark gray, almost black kind of color, and then runner H2 would be this section of that runner separated to give us the parts for the rifle here in a nice medium gray color. Runner I we have 2 of for some more of our kind of off black armor pieces there with a lot of really nice detail on there. Lastly then, runner J, we have a few more parts here in this nice light blue color, and runner K we've got 2 of for the sword blade parts that will fit into the sword hilts on the side skirts. And that's it for all the runners. Let's go ahead and get this thing all built up and check it out. Alright guys, we're back with the kit all built up here. Super cool. Check out the live stream build if you missed it to see more about it. I also posted a build log on Patreon if you wanted some more insight to what were some of the things that I noticed about the building process. You can check that out if you're interested in becoming a Patreon member. It's kind of a new thing that I'm going to be starting to do over there, but really cool build. Love the design. I love the details on this. Fantastic kit overall. I would say if you guys have not checked out the Master Grade Barbatos, definitely check this guy out. And if you have built a Master Grade Barbatos, then you pretty much know what to expect with this one. It's amazing. There's a lot to enjoy about the kit, but let's go ahead and start off here by first taking a look at our included accessories. Alright, so first off, we've got some options for the hands. Now they are just going to be fixed pose hands with swappable fingers. One thing I'll say about these, obviously here at the moment you can see I have the fingers on there to make a closed fist, but the thumb, just like with the Barbatos, is in a really weird position, and it's one thing that I don't particularly like about this design is that why the thumb is extended like that. That should either have a better range of movement or another articulation point or a different optional thumb or something that I guess you can swap out. But even when it's in a closed fist, there's not really any good position to put the thumb in that looks convincing. It only really works well with the open hands. And we do have fingers here to swap out for both the left and the right side to make a nice open hand, in which case the thumb, works a little bit better with that. And we've also got fingers for making a trigger finger hand for holding the rifle and for just regular weapon holding hand here for holding the saber. And you do have those for both sides. We've also got our included action base connection piece here, our 1/100 scale little Vidar figure molded in white. Definitely at least a little panel lining to bring out the details on that, if not some painting would be recommended. Then we've got the rifle, which is fairly standard, but some really nice features here with this. It's a good size and some nice details on there. You'll notice that between the main gray pieces for the body of the rifle, there is a black piece that will give us some details that come through there, here, and here. You can see those details of that inner piece. Then we've got that clear pink part for the lens, but the nice thing about that is that this part is removable, and we have this like mirror chrome sticker that goes on this part before putting the clear pink part installed within this gray piece. So the good point is that that clear pink part is easily removed for painting, and then you can easily paint this part if you don't want to use the sticker, which honestly you could just use the sticker, but if you wanted to remove that and paint that into like a kind of even shinier chrome or black or whatever, however you might want to paint that, you can paint that and then just pop this over the top like that is really easy. The magazine can be removed from the bottom of that, and honestly I feel like it's a little bit loose. You may want to just glue that in place just to make sure that doesn't fall out on you accidentally. And you'll notice here on the sides of the rifle you have these 2 tabs on either side. I do like how it's kind of like fairly inconspicuous. It just kind of fits in with the design. It doesn't look like a weird rectangular tab sticking out of the rifle, how it sometimes does on some of these kits. And that can fit into any one of these 3 positions here on these side skirt parts. So having this plugged into the top position means it's just kind of straight and line and it's kind of sticking out a little bit more at the top. But if you didn't want it quite that high, you can plug it into this lower position here. It's a bit further down and kind of out of the way, and then at an angle, which I think works pretty well there. Then we of course just have this saber. So the saber handle here is just a couple of parts, and the blades here are all functional. Any of the 6 blades you can plug this into just for storage of the handle in there like that, and then when you pull that out, it will pull out the sword blade there. Really cool. So all 6 of those are separate pieces and all functional. And then we do also have 2 spare blades, and these are a little bit different. If you notice here at the ends, they're differently shaped, and we have a little sticker to go on there to represent these as like purged blades or used up blades that have been purged from the handle that are just meant to look a little bit different here on the end. So just kind of a nice extra added accessory there. Another option part that you do have for inside the cockpit. So the cockpit will open up like that, and inside there you can see the seated pilot figure, but the actual cockpit chair part comes with 2 different options. One of them with the system like activated and one not. So this is the one that is not activated. The one that I have inside there is activated, but as you can see, it's down inside there, and it's really not going to be very noticeable at all, but it is nice that Bandai committed to anime accuracy there, giving us 2 different options for the pilot's chair. And then of course, stored here in the front skirt, we have the handguns. So these are a little bit tricky to kind of get in and out of there just because they're stored up on the backside of the front skirt armor there. But the handguns are pretty simple, just 3 parts, 2 main halves, and this one part here on the top, which will move forward and back like that. So again, nice detail here for these, and those will just fit into the hand very simply. Just all in one color, but some nice detail on there. If you were to go in and just like paint a couple little detail bits on that, would look pretty nice. So these look really good. There's going to be a little bit of a seam line here on the top and a little bit there on the bottom as well. It's really kind of the only real notable seam lines on the entirety of the kit here on the handguns there. Because everywhere else, anywhere where there would be any kind of seam line, it's just made up as like a panel line detail. And a good example of that would be here on these side skirt parts. This is a good opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about the kit kind of here in detail, and some of these bits like these parts here being able to open up here on the side skirts, which is pretty cool, and the side skirts being able to slide on a track like that, basically to recreate the motion of loading in a new sword blade on the sword as seen in the show. So again, really nice dedication to the anime accuracy, including all the details here. But like I said, here in what would be a seam line is just made up as like a panel line detail here. So Bena did a good job of hiding that. I'm just really not a fan of every time when we have like big nub marks or big gates right here, right on the edge of the part where there's like a panel line detail running along the edge. Just makes it kind of very tricky to clean those up without ruining that detail. So you're going to want to be extra careful with some of the gates, especially this is a dark, like almost black colored plastic. So if you don't want to have visible nub marks, like even you can see a little bit on mine here, and I wasn't like super careful about it. Ultimately, I'll end up going in and sanding this some more before painting, but you guys get the idea that this is one particular area you are going to want to be careful with. Another spot that I would point out to you would be also here on the thigh armor. So there's a front and back half of the thigh armor, and again, there's like a panel line detail along the edge of the front half, and there's a nub like right on that detail like panel line edge there, so just be careful with those parts. But the articulation, like we've seen with the Barbatos, is really nice. One thing that I have noticed with this is that the hip joint connection where the leg is plugged onto the hips, even though it's pushed on all the way, it just doesn't seem like as tight as it maybe should be, and it seems like it's plenty tight enough now, but I feel like if you're moving this, you know, after a few times, it's going to start to loosen up. It's going to start to come off that peg, I feel like. And especially because the legs are fairly chunky with all this kind of going on here on the knee. And the feet, of course, having the gimmick of the blades being able to fold open here on the feet, which is really cool. So you have a lot of cool gimmicks. And then also like these thruster bells can be slightly adjusted up and down. We have a really nice double joint here in the knee, and also you'll notice, let me flip it around so you guys can get a good look at this. When you bend the knee, this part here at the back will tuck up into the frame like that, so you can get a really nice full bend, and that part isn't impeding the bend of the leg frame there at the knee, which is really nice. But yeah, I would just be a little bit worried that over time that hip joint may start to feel a bit more loose. So one thing that I would maybe recommend doing is just use some joint tape or whatever kind of is your preferred method to just tighten up that hip joint a little bit. Otherwise, really like this separate red piece for that detail there in the front skirt. That's not a sticker, it's a separate red piece. And then here on the elbow, similar to like what we saw on the leg, that little bit of black armor there right below the elbow joint. When the elbow is bent, that will tuck into there. So again, it's not impeding the bending of the frame here at the elbow. And again, of course, you have these nice piston details and a number of spots around on the kit, and those chrome plated piston detail parts look really nice. You got a couple here in the midsection there, of course, and then up here on the top of the shoulder and at the back side of the shoulder. So when we swing the arm out to the front there, you can see some of that piston detail here at the back side. As for the backpack, I mean, it's gonna be fairly simple, but these bits here on the side can be kind of extended out to give you a little bit more range of movement, as those are just attached via double ball joints, so you can move these around in different directions. And then like we saw with the rifle, there is a sticker that goes underneath the clear pink part there, so it makes that nice and bright. And on the note of other stickers, there is a clear part in the head that will go through to the back of the head. So you have a clear pink part that is for the eyes and the camera on the back side of the head. I did go ahead and just use the stickers for those, just because the stickers just show up more brightly here on camera. If you want to just use the clear part, you can without using the stickers. There is also a sticker option that will give you like the black around the eyes, but if you look real closely, you can see there is some nice detail on that gray part where the eyes are set. So if you use that sticker with the black around the eyes, it's going to end up covering that all up. Yeah, you have a clear part in there. I just use the stickers just because it looks nicer at the moment. And then you can see the one here on the back of the head there as well. So as you can see with this one, just some super awesome weapons, gimmicks, details, basically everything that you could possibly want out of a really amazing master grade here with this one. And again, if you've not checked out the Barbatos, I would highly recommend checking out either one of the master grade IBO options that you have available at the moment between the Barbatos to the Vidar here. I actually just prefer the Vidar. I think this kit is like everything that was great about the Barbatos, and then even better. I just think that this one has some really cool weapon options between the saber, the rifle, and the pistols stored in the front skirt is a cool gimmick there as well, just to be able to use those. So you have a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with this. I would highly recommend picking up an action base as well when you get this, just because, I mean, although there's plenty of cool poses that you could do with it just standing on its own, it's definitely going to look that much more impressive in a cool dynamic action pose up on a base. And the articulation, obviously, and the construction that we have here with the kit will give you no issues getting it into any sort of awesome pose that you might want to do. So that, and aside from the different weapon options that I mentioned, you do also have like the knife blades on the feet. So there's just a lot of really cool stuff that this kit has to offer, and I'm really looking forward to painting this kit up. I think it's probably not going to be like the next project that I'm painting, as there's a couple of different projects that I'm trying to get finished up first, but I really am looking forward to painting this, hopefully sooner than later. And one thing that I want to do is change up the color scheme, just because there's a lot of really great details on the black sections of this kit that are kind of hard to see unless you have it in the right lighting. So definitely changing up the color scheme to really kind of make sure that you can really see and take in all of the different details and stuff around on the kit is going to be something that I'm going to have in mind for my custom painted color scheme for this. Also thinking maybe giving it like a shield or something, because it is a bit weird not having like a shield. I know obviously didn't have a shield in the anime, but I think it might be kind of cool to give it some kind of shield if I can think of something interesting. So that's something that I'm going to be thinking about and working on, and I'll certainly update you guys if and when I am able to get around to working on this for a custom build. But for now, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. It's an awesome kit, can't recommend it enough. Definitely, if you guys are fans of just master grades or just Gunpla in general, this is definitely going to be one that I would recommend that you guys are going to need to pick up. So if you guys haven't ordered one already and you want to check it out for yourself, you can check out the link in the video description down below to USA Gundam Store. I think at the moment of recording this, we do still currently have some in stock, but I'm sure we're probably getting some more coming soon enough. So check out the website for this and all sorts of other awesome Gunpla stuff there. And as always, guys, thanks so much for all of your support, leaving a like, making sure that you're subscribed as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, hope y'all are having a great day. See y'all later. Bye, guys.